Hello, and welcome to a brand new segment of Education Matters. My name is Donna Moore Westby, your host of Education Matters, and we're connecting you to the world of education one step at a time. Can you believe it? This is already the end of the year 2011, and we're right on the heels of the year 2012. It's been an exciting year for us here at Aiken Standard Television Studios, and I just want to spend this time, today's broadcast, thanking those of you who've watched us from week to week, thanking those of you who have encouraged us to continue to bring quality programming to you every week. We just are so appreciative for even the opportunity. I do not take these airwaves for granted, and there have been wonderful guests that we've had on this program throughout the year who have helped to uplift others, to encourage others, to motivate others, to enlighten us to do better. And I'm so appreciative for the opportunity to be with you every week. This is the very last broadcast for the year 2011, and today we're going to have a little bit of fun. It'll be a different broadcast because we will use this opportunity to reflect on what has taken place since March the 23rd. Can you believe it? That was our very first broadcast, Miss Cindy, right here inside of ASTV. And you know, if you've been watching from week to week, you know we've grown. We've made some changes. We've had some oops. We've had some technical difficulties. We've even had some changes in our set, all to do the very best we can from week to week to bring you quality programming, to have a quality broadcast. You know, there is enough negativity, I've said it before, enough negativity in the world today. And I've even had individuals to question whether or not this particular broadcast is really one of substance, because we don't get into arguments or we don't get into the political debate of the day. Well, I want to let you know there's enough of that out there. So if you choose to want a broadcast that's going to bring that over the airwaves to you, then you have plenty of choices. This broadcast, from day one, I have made a conscious choice and a conscious decision, and quite frankly, a spiritual one, to have a broadcast that disseminates positive information, for this to be a vehicle for our community members, our leaders, our parents, our students to just share information that can help us to be better, to uplift one another, to encourage one another, as I just stated. So that is what I am committed to. If you're looking for a broadcast that is going to demean or to bring others down, don't tune in from 1 to 2 on ASTV or at 7 a.m. or at 11 p.m. because you will not find that here. My heart is in uplifting each of you who watches from week to week. My heart is with this community. My heart is with this world. And this week's word of the week is LOVE. It's love. I believe that if we were to love each other more, despite our differences, despite our political views, despite our ethnicity, I believe we will see some positive changes in this world today. But you know what? It starts with you and it starts with me. And I believe that if we really embrace what love is, it is an action and it is also a feeling, that we will see some wonderful changes in this world today, and we will learn to appreciate the type of programming such as Education Matters and what we share on ASTV. So this week's word of the week is love. It's a very simple word, and it's one that I will not throw up on the screen today because I believe that each of us has an innate desire to love and be loved. What is it? Well, we've tried to share some of that each week inside of Education Matters by way of providing information. Information is power, because when we know better, we do better. And it has been our prayer since March the 23rd that there was some word, whether it was a word of the week, whether it was a tip of the week, whether it was a marvelous word uttered from a guest that touched your heart, that encouraged you to love, that inspired you to go to school, that inspired you to make a change in your life, maybe to get out of an abusive relationship, maybe to love your spouse more, maybe to reach out and to touch someone else in the community who needed help. That's what you found inside of Education Matters. And believe it or not, today's program marks episode number 35 for the year 2011. And I want to send a special shout out to Scott Hunter for giving me the opportunity, in addition to Tim O'Brien, the executive producer here at ASTV, along with his role with the Aiken Standard. All of our wonderful staff, I'll talk about them a little bit later on in the broadcast, because it's more than just me that makes up Education Matters. There are many others who are working very diligently behind the scenes to help us do what we do. And I want to let you know that in order for us to come here every week, it takes money. It has taken money. And there have been individuals as well as corporations who took a chance on me through this program by giving of their money so that we can bring you quality programming from week to week. And at this time, I'd like to thank those businesses that I call partners of Education Matters. And they are the Martial Arts Academy under the direction of Mr. Andrew Blocker. He was a guest on the program in 2011, and he encouraged us to not give up on our children, that our children must be disciplined. And when a child receives discipline early in life, they will carry that with them on into adulthood. So thank you, Mr. Blocker. Also, the Barner Group, Educational Associates. Thank you for also coming on the broadcast and telling us about supplemental educational services, where many of our families and our children needed after school tutoring. You enlightened us that there are many providers in the area who can help our students get better. Thank you for your support. Also, Magnolia Medical Center. Dr. Margot Muniz, I love your sense of humor. You shared with us so much, especially me, being as hard-headed as I am, Miss Cindy. She told us that we needed, as women, to take care of our bodies. And we're going to hear a little bit more from her later on in today's broadcast. Also, the Will Lou Gray Opportunity School out of West Columbia. I'm so very proud of what this school is doing in the state of South Carolina, because they are indeed saving the lives of many of our youth who are struggling in the traditional classroom, giving them another avenue and letting them know that there is still hope. Also, I certainly cannot forget my wonderful husband, Don Wesby, owner of Wesby's Products and Services and creator of Don's Seasoning Delight. You have been my rock. You are my supporter. You are my cheerleader. You are also a wonderful critic. And I love that, because whenever I need a check, and we all do from time to time, we need to be checked, and because we don't come here knowing it all. And my husband lets me know when, in his opinion, if I'm on track or if I'm a little off track, and I respect his opinion. And I also respect the fact that he is a businessman with Dawn Seasoning Delight, and I'm very proud of you. So thanks, honey, for your support. And then also a new sponsor that joined us toward the end of 2011, and you'll hear more from this sponsor. And this is Bryant Insurance Agency. Miss Takia Dorn has an all-state agency on Daughtery Road, and you will hear more from her hopefully in the year 2012. And then we had some short-term sponsors, and we certainly thank you as well. Security Federal. I enjoyed Security Federal Day early on when we first started with Education Matters, and you helped us to get our finances in order. You taught us how to budget. You taught us that we don't have to be a slave to debt, and we thank you for that. Also, the University of South Carolina in Aiken, a wonderful university right here in our own back doors. And we're so proud of you continuing to be the top university that you are. And then Total Praise Dance Academy, right here in Graniteville, South Carolina, providing praise dance, liturgical dance, ballet, tap, jazz. But in addition to that, the whole academy is very rich in spiritual guidance. There's an after-school tutoring program located within the facility, in addition to piano lessons for adults and children. So we thank all of you for supporting Education Matters. Now, we want to spend a little time today showing you just some of my favorite moments, all right? I must say, with the 35 broadcast, James and Miss Cindy, we've had some very wonderful and inspirational moments within the broadcast. Of course, I must start with broadcast number 1. Our very first broadcast, our guest was Congressman Jim Clyburn. And he spoke with us about President Obama's administration. But more importantly, when you are starting something brand new, such as we did, I've never done television before, but I had a heart to share and to give. Landing a guest like Congressman Jim Clyburn, that was nothing but a godsend. I didn't do anything special. We had some family and friends who helped us with the hookup, and the hookup it certainly was. So take a look as you hear some words, I believe, from the wise, because Congressman Jim Clyburn, he helped to set the tone here on Education Matters, because he helped us to see that it all starts from home. Take a look. As an individual.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I'm pleased to be a part of your inaugural program
there you
here,
go.
and I look forward to returning. I'm sure you're going to be around for a long time.
Well, thank you for that.
I was born and raised in Sumter. I grew up in a parsonage. My father was a minister, my mother a beautician, and they were very civic-minded. I often tell that there were many rules in my house, but there were two that I talk about a lot. One of which was that we had to recite a Bible verse every morning over breakfast. Before grace was returned, we were to recite a Bible verse. My dad made sure that we didn't say the same one twice. Took Jesus' wept off the table on the first day.
Wept off, huh?
But he never told us to read the Bible, but it would be kind of hard to do those Bible verses without reading the Bible. A second rule was every evening, before retiring to bed, my two brothers and I were required to share with our parents, or one or both, a current event. We were never told to read the newspapers.
Awesome.
But the newspaper came every day, and we had to read it because that night we would have to share a current event with our parents.
Now, in sharing with your parents, did you have to read those current events aloud for your parents to actually hear you?
Well, we did a lot of reading aloud, but the current event was to make sure that we learned something that day.
Yes.
And so we would just not read it. We had to tell them what we learned, whatever the current event may be. But those were always shared orally, but not a reading as such.
Oftentimes, Congressman Jim Clyburn, a U.S. congressman, spent a little time with us on my, as he stated, inaugural broadcast here at Aiken Standard Television Studios. And I thank him. And you heard it. I think we shared with you. He said that he thinks we're going to be around for a long time and that he would love to come back. So I'm going to take you up on that, Congressman Clyburn. Certainly thank you for the time you shared with us. You know, it has been an awesome year. And as I sit and reflect on each broadcast, we have done some wonderful things. You know, there are some families and individuals who will come up to me in the grocery store or at church, and especially parents sharing with us that they learned something on education matters that they didn't know before that was going to help their child. And that really is what it's all about. We have talked about the value of education, of course, here inside of Education Matters, and we highlighted some of the changes in our school system that were different, quite frankly, than when you and I were in school that you really needed to know, especially if you had kids and you still have children in the public school or private school system. We talked about MAP testing, measures of academic progress, these standardized exams that your children have to take throughout the year that measures their progress. We enlighten you on that topic. We also talked about, as I mentioned earlier, supplemental educational services. These are after-school tutoring services that some of you didn't even know about, where your child has now benefited from those services and are getting on the right track. We've even had many school districts on the broadcast talking about a variety of programs and initiatives that are geared to increasing student achievement, increasing the graduation rate, decreasing the dropout rate. And those types of programs have certainly helped to change lives. One of my earlier broadcasts, my guest was Miss Tiffany Moore Palmer, my baby sister. I'm so very proud of her. She is a career specialist, and she took time to share with us what we called Graduation 101, moving your child from middle school to high school and beyond. And in this particular clip, she enlightened many of us on the changes in the curriculum and course load that our students are going through right now. Take a look.
To give the students as few hurdles and as few potholes as possible.
That's right, barriers.
So if you are a college-bound student, or if your child is a college-bound, four-year college-bound student, they should try to stay away from those level 1, level 2, not necessarily CP or college prep courses, but the level 1, level 2, and concepts. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay, and then the next level,
Next level, honors. Now, honors courses are a little bit more challenging.
Okay.
And that's good. That's a good challenge. Honors level classes require the students to think critically. There's a little bit more independent work dealing with the honors level classes. And the honors level classes prepare the students for the next level of classes, which are advanced placement or AP. The AP classes are classes that the student can take and take the test to receive college credit for them in the high school.
Okay. All right.
Different from dual credit, if the parents out there have heard about dual credit, you will actually go to the college while you're in high school and take some classes to begin the college transcript. AP classes are taught at the high school with the high school teachers, but they are college level courses.
Okay. Now, in moving, say a parent has a child who is currently in college prep courses. After hearing this presentation today, can they go to the guidance department and then automatically sign their child up for a advanced placement? How does that process work?
The honors level courses are the prerequisites for the AP level, for the advanced placement level. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. Your child is in English 1. That child could be in English 1 college prep or CP and be able to graduate from high school just fine. Okay, that child can take the honors level English 1 class, get a little bit more work in, possibly increase their grade point average. And the grade point average kind of dictates a lot of things. It dictates who's first and second and third in the class. It dictates who gets scholarships and things of that nature. So the honors level not only makes your child think a little bit more critically, but it may help them in terms of competition in the future, okay?
Okay.
If the child goes up to the honors level, then that is the prerequisite for them to take the AP classes in 11th and 12th grade.
Okay, good. Graduation 101, moving your child from middle school to high school and beyond. An exceptional broadcast. And if you did not get a chance to see that broadcast, I'm going to tell you at the end of today's program how you'll have the opportunity to see all of these programs because they are archived and available on the internet. Today is a day of reflection inside of Education Matters. This is the very last broadcast before we move into the year 2012. We've had some wonderful guests, and this program has only been as good as the guests we've brought to you. And it is our prayer that as we step into the year 2012, that we will continue to take it up another notch higher for you so that we can all learn and grow together. Another person that challenged us ladies, of course, was Dr. Margot Muniz of Magnolia Medical Center. Take a look as we go into the break and hear from some of our sponsors what Dr. Margot had to share. We love Dr. Margot. We'll be right back.
Hi there, this is Dr. Margot Muniz, and we're here today for Magnolia Medical's Women's Health Tip. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about abnormal uterine bleeding. Abnormal uterine bleeding is quite common, and I would assume that it occurs pretty much to all of us at some point in time in our life. We've all had that embarrassing accident, where you have your friend sneak up behind you and kind of walk behind you out of the church. A lady who's having a continuous problem with heavy menstrual bleeding, irregular bleeding, who is bleeding more than 2 times a month, or is changing their pad and or tampon every hour to 2 hours, is bleeding too much. And this is a very common problem and can be caused by multiple things. A lot of ladies just assume it's them, it's normal, it's been like that their whole life. It is entirely easy to evaluate and treatable. A lot of ladies are afraid to get it assessed because they're afraid that it's going to result in a hysterectomy. We have a myriad of very easy, minimally invasive treatments available to control heavy menstrual bleeding and return you back to normal life activities without having to worry about little accidents and allow you to wear white just like in the commercials. So you have a pleasant day, and we'll talk to you next week. This is Dr. Muniz. Thank you.
Total women's health care means treating the women physically, emotionally, and everything in between. At Magnolia Medical Women's Center, we treat and diagnose common and unusual medical problems related to female health. Magnolia Medical Center is a premium high-level obstetrics and gynecology clinic for women of all ages. Our clients receive the time they deserve without feeling rushed and unimportant. We are located in the Aiken Medical Center, 410 University Parkway in Aiken, Suite 2300. Call us today at 803-649-6366.
The Will Gray Opportunity School has been serving the beautiful Midlands of South Carolina since 1921. Our mission has evolved over the years, and we now specialize in helping young people move past their obstacles in order to achieve success. We give students opportunities to lead, to develop social skills, to become active in their communities, and to taste success. Don't settle for less than the absolute best for your life. Contact us today to take the next step in your journey toward success.
Welcome back inside of Education Matters. My name is Donna Moore Westby, your host of Education Matters, where we're connecting you to the world of education one step at a time. Well, if you're just joining us today inside of our broadcast, we are reflecting upon a wonderful year. March 23rd was the very first broadcast of Education Matters. And I don't know if you know, we've talked about it before here inside of this program, but I actually started Education Matters on the radio. And I have been broadcasting Education Matters on WAAW Shout 94.7 FM going on 3 years. In February, it will be 3 years. And it was that broadcast that somewhat made a way for ASTV. And we had some discussions with the powers that be here, had a little talk with the Lord to make sure we could add this to the schedule, and here we are, 35 broadcasts later, and we still have so much more work to do. Our little town here in Aiken we have somewhat been shocked, I believe, with an awful tragedy, and that was the senseless loss of the life of Officer Scotty Richardson. I want to say to his family, his wife, and his 3 lovely children that our prayers are with you, and that although it may not seem like it right now, God has his arms wrapped around you. This community cares for you. But in addition to that, in addition to us praying for that family, we're also praying for the family of the shooter, because as we have stated before, hurt people hurt people. And I don't know if you know this or have been keeping up with the stories that were shared in the Aiken Standard, but the young gentleman's father, it's been reported that he is in prison serving a sentence for murder himself. So one of the things that we talked about quite often on this broadcast is repairing our families, repairing those who are just hurt, because until we're able to help people deal with the hurt, they're going to continue to hurt others. And one thing about it, if we don't know where we've been, we don't know where we're going. And that requires that we take a look into our history. And sometimes our history may not be as pleasant or comfortable, but it is our history. And we are doomed to repeat some of that negativity if we don't address it and confront it again with love, Love. We've had some fun times here in the broadcast, and quite frankly, we've had some moments where I just wanted to, like that commercial, you want to get away? Like when I talked about my aunt and using one of the words of the week, flamboyant. On TV, I talked about how she was flamboyant. And then the time, very recently, where I used the expression Tom, Dick, and Harry when we were talking about HIV, okay? And that was somewhat uncomfortable. And later on, as I watched the broadcast, my family had a good laugh at me on that. But all in all, we've had a wonderful time here inside of ASTV. One of my favorite moments was I got an opportunity to interview a young lady, and I say young, by the name of Sister Rosalie Johnson. She is a living legend, and we talked with her about the Center for African American History, Art, and Culture. She shared with us how she moved to this great town, and also how she was excited about this new educational facility that will be coming to our area. Take a look as Sister Rosalie Johnson shares a little bit of time with us. As we've alluded to, who have come out to express and show their support for the center. And one of those individuals is a young lady you and I got the opportunity to sit down with recently. And she is actually a living legend.
Yes, she is.
A living legend. And it really touched my heart that not only was she wanting to share how she came to this wonderful town we know as Aiken, but was also ready and willing to show her support in a tangible way for the center. And her name is Miss Rosalie Johnson. Take a look as we spent some time with a living legend right here in Aiken. Well, Miss Johnson, we're sitting here in the Historical Center for African American History, Art, and Culture. Very soon, we'll be opening the doors, and I know Miss Joanne is excited about it. And we're just here for story time with you, and very excited that you're with us. You're definitely a living legend. Tell us what brought you to Aiken, South Carolina.
What really brought me to Aiken was my marriage.
Okay.
I got married in 1939,
Wow.
April the 16th, 1939.
All right.
That's what brought me to Aiken.
And I understand that your husband was a legend as well here in Aiken. Tell us about what he did here.
Well, my husband was a doctor pharmacist. He was a pharmacist.
Mason Johnson.
Mason
correct?
Johnson.
Yes.
Because there were more than one. There were 3 sons, and all 3, 2 of them are pharmacists.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But their father was an MD and a pharmacist.
My goodness.
And he ran that, he started that drugstore up at where Pat's Restaurant is now.
Okay.
But it was run for 80 years.
In that same location?
No, not that same. They finally moved to Park Avenue and Fairfield Street,
Okay.
where Jackson's art store is now.
Okay.
In that
All
building.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're obviously you've been here a long time, and you're 91 years old, right?
Yes, it will be May the 20th.
Okay. That's amazing.
1920.
Well, you've been in this town a long time. What makes Aiken special to you?
Well, it's special to me because it's, even though it's a city, it's more like a loving community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have gone to cities like Detroit and come back and glad to get back home to Aiken because Aiken is just a loving community.
You've seen a lot over the years, historically.
Mm-hmm.
What about Aiken's history do you believe makes it one of the very unique places in this world?
Well, it's because, you know, Aiken, years ago, there were a community of Northerners who came here for the winter, for sports and whatnot, golf and whatnot. And they brought different people with them, you know. But they also gave jobs to the Aiken community. And then in the summertime, they would also take them with them to work, like in New York and on the islands and places like that.
Okay, all right. So it's definitely a rich history, and you've seen a lot of things over the years. What do you think has changed the most about Aiken from the time you moved here to now?
Well, when I moved here, Aiken had no stoplights and that type of thing. You know, you could turn around in the middle of the park anywhere you wanted to going home. But when the Savannah River plant came, that changed the whole Aiken community.
Yes.
Because they had to put lights and whatnot on here.
Right. In terms of African Americans, because obviously this is the center that will help highlight the accomplishments of African Americans in this area, what do you believe the center here will do in this community?
Well, this center will bring the history of Aiken back. There's a lot of rich history in this building years ago. And I'm sure there are a lot of other people besides me who are going to contribute stuff to this place. And this will be a place where the children can come and study.
Right.
You know?
I think that's very important that we leave a legacy of education to our children. A lot of them don't realize the rich history with which they have right here in this area, and oftentimes that makes us take it for granted. Now, you said that, and we definitely don't want to take anything for granted. We do have a rich history here in this area. Whether you're in Aiken County, Barnwell County, or Allendale County, watching us today, or even on the internet throughout this country, let's appreciate our history, and let's make sure that those individuals who gave of their lives, whether it was to get us to this country, to help build this country, or even those who are on the battlefield for justice every day, civil rights, those in Congress, we need to do our part as well. And Sister Rosalie Johnson is just one of the many individuals we've highlighted here inside of Education Matters, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And one of my favorites in 2011 was a young lady with 6 children who we got a chance to spend some time with. She and her husband, the Hayward family, are just one of the many wonderful families we have in this area. And I embarked upon a new project where Education Matters wanted to recognize mothers for Mother's Day. So please enjoy this next little segment as we spoke with Linda Hayward and 5 of her 6 children as Education Matters saluted mothers, because mothers are very special. And it definitely ties in with my personal belief that we need parental support. We need to repair our families. Take a look. If you're just joining us today on this beautiful day, it is Mother's Day in the Education Matters studios, and we are very excited to have with us here Miss Linda Hayward, and she now has with her 5 of her 6 children. Miss Linda, if you would, go ahead and let us know who we have here.
Okay, right here we have my second oldest, Bethany. She is 21 years old.
Okay.
And then Mariah, right here. Mariah is my next oldest. She's number 3 in line, and Mariah is 18.
And Mariah, wave your hand, Mariah. Mariah was actually one of my employees at The Greatest Gift and helped me to actually close the storefront down. Just a phenomenal, very, very mature young lady, as all of your children are, I see, very well behaved. So, all right, good. And who do we have there on the end smiling so beautifully?
This is Abigail. Abigail she will be 10 soon, double-digit 10.
Wow.
And she's Mommy's helper.
Okay.
She's actually Mommy's helper.
That's wonderful.
Joseph comes next, and I said Abigail, but Joseph is next in line. Joseph will be a teenager in June.
Oh, man, you're excited about that.
He's my little man. So it's Bethany, Mariah, Joseph, Abigail, and Jacob. Jacob is my baby, and he started school this year at Chucker Creek.
Wonderful.
And he's 5 years old. And he's my baby, aren't you?
Yes. And then, of course, as we mentioned earlier, Josh, who is your oldest, and he's doing his thing right now. Great things with his life, so we're very excited about that. What a wonderful family. Well, of course, having 6 children, they all have different personalities and different needs. How do you balance being able to give each of them the time and the specific attention that they need?
A lot of prayer. A lot of prayer and asking God to multiply my time as a mother. I need to realize they are all individuals. We realized early in parenting we don't need to compare and say, well, this one was this way in school, but this one, they're all individual. God has made them so unique, so we try not to compare, but we try and make things special for them, special times on their birthdays. It doesn't matter that they have a big party, but we do try and recognize their birthdays. Sometimes we try and make time to have one-on-one time. I know Bernie will sometimes take Bethany out or one of the children out, and I think that's important when you have 6, to have that one-on-one time, or just take 2 with you, or just say, okay, it's Dad's night out with me. And that means a lot. Or, come on, Abby, it's menu shopping today.
Yes.
And that makes them feel extra special that they're having a day with their mom or with their dad. And that's challenging today, as many people are so just stretched in their day.
Yes.
And we wish we had more hours. But to take that time out for each child, and then to recognize when they're going through hard times. And I know we come home tired and weary at night, but to really just be in tune to that, and when they do have hard times, to make that time just to go down to their room and just lay on the bed and just talk. And I know I do that with Mariah sometimes, and Bethany, and just kind of camp out after I put the little ones down.
Right.
And we have that time just to talk about what's going on or what they're going through, and I think that really means a lot. And Bernie's probably gone upstairs to sleep, but that's quality time because I'm investing in them. My flesh may say I'm tired and I want to go to bed, but I know they need me. They need a listening ear. They might need to cry. They might need to just have someone to talk to. So that's very important. And it's not material things that I'm giving them. It's not material things. It's the things that are investments in the kingdom, investing in these lives.
And I love the fact that you said investment, because as a mother, as a father, the time that we spend with our children, the attention we give, we definitely need to be unselfish about it and think of it as an investment. You know, if we bring these children into the world, we have to understand that God is looking to us to be a responsible parent, and it requires time. Now, you mentioned sometimes being tired and weary, because we do have these bodies. Now, how do you make time for you?
Oh, goodness.
Because a lot of women want to know that, you know, even if they only have one child.
First of all, I will give credit where credit is due, and that's to my husband that loves me unconditionally.
Oh.
I mean, he is the best husband, and I know most people would say that about their husband, but he loves me as Christ loved the church, as it said in the Word, unconditionally, and that helps me out so much. I used to have a little plaque, I don't know where it's at now, but it says so much, and it said, the best thing that a husband can do for their children is to love their mother.
Definitely.
Because if they love the mother, and if they're taking care of the mother, and the mother's happy, the mother is going to be a good mom, and she's going to be fulfilled. She's going to be happy.
And you're being that example that the children need to see, a loving relationship. I'm going to speak to Bethany right now, who is like the ambassador for the family. Bethany, what is the best thing about your mother?
I think it's like she said earlier, just kind of listening to us and being there. She's a stay-at-home mom, so she's always there. So anytime I come home, if it's late at night, she's always there to talk or whatever. So I think that's just the best thing. She's always there. I've never had to worry about having to call her up or wait for her. She's just always there whenever I need her. And I know all the rest of them feel the same, too.
Well, that is wonderful. And you right now are attending USC Aiken. So obviously this family appreciates education. What advice, as a young person, can you give to those who are raising children today to help them instill in their children the importance of education?
It is so important. I'm an education major.
Wonderful.
So
I got to ring my bell for that.
it's so important. And I think, like, when I was in high school, maybe the whole college thing didn't seem as important to me until I got there, and then I realized everything started coming together. But it is so important, especially for parents even, to kind of instill in their kids the want to learn and all that, because it is so important. Because once kids want to learn and see that it's important to get an education, then it's a good thing. So
that's wonderful. Well, Hayward family, again, we thank you so much for being with us today. You look beautiful, color coordinated and smiles. I feel like we should be singing The Sound of Music or something like that. But we wish you continued success and blessings. And again, we thank you so much for being with us. Now, we have some. The hills are alive with the sound of music. Come on, join in with me, Miss Cindy. But really, what you saw was real. The Hayward family, I'm just so proud of you. And there are many families just like you in this area who are just trying to do the very best they can from day to day, making ends meet, providing for their children, giving those words of encouragement and support to your children. Even if you're tired and exhausted, we salute you. And during that particular broadcast, we also highlighted a wonderful young man named Mr. Lewis. His mother, as a result of his essay, was our third place winner for the Education Matters Mother of the Year. Take a look as Lewis shares with us why his mother is very special. And he is a 10-year-old young man from Warrenville Elementary. Take a look as Lewis shares his essay to his mother.
My name is Luis Rubalcaba. I am 10 and I am in 4th grade. I go to Warrenville Elementary School. My mother should be crowned Education Matter Mothers of the Year. My mother, Dorotea Martinez, is so special because She cares for me and my other brothers and sisters. I want my mom to be crowned Mother of Education Matters of the Year because she's always taking me to places like the mall, restaurants, and parks. My mom respects me and she remembers all the good times we had when I was 4. She cares about my health, survival, and safety. I love my mom. She helps me with my homework and teaches me to read and write in Spanish. I was lonely when I was 2 and my older sister Naomi went to school. I was bored, so one day my mom and my dad took me to the animal shelter to get 2 little puppies. I would give them food every day. I loved my mother because she gave me the birth. My mother threw me a big party for my birthday. My mom cares for me because I am her son, and I treat her like she treats me. My mom, Dorota Martinez, does whatever it takes to keep me healthy, safe, and in the way I choose to live my life.
When it comes to grilling, I'm the man. Using Dawn Seasoning Delight, I'm the grill master.
My seasoning is available at Kroger, Bi-Lo, Food Line, Reeds, and Harvest. Look for it on display in the meat department. Also visit seasoningdelight.com for information and recipes. Dawn Seasoning Delight. It's so good.
Dawn Seasoning Delight is so good.
The Will Gray Opportunity School has been serving the beautiful Midlands of South Carolina since 1921. Our mission has evolved over the years, and we now specialize in helping young people move past their obstacles in order to achieve success. We give students opportunities to lead, to develop social skills, to become active in their communities, and to taste success. Don't settle for less than the absolute best for your life. Contact us today to take the next step in your journey toward success.
Need positive and constructive after-school activities for your children? Call the Martial Arts Academy in Aiken under the direction of International Olympic trainer Andrew Blocker. The Martial Arts Academy offers an award-winning approach to teaching Taekwondo. It's an effective approach to instilling discipline. The Martial Arts Academy also offers self-defense and fitness classes for all ages. Enroll today in this affordable program by calling 803-642-5723 or visit the studio at 2398 Whiskey Road in Aiken. The Martial Arts Academy, positively changing the lives of youth and adults.
I lead a busy life, but I still have to make sure my family eats right. And everybody loves Dawn's Seasoning Delight. I use Dawn's on meats and vegetables. It's healthy, tastes great, and it's simple to use. It's like having a chef in a bottle.
My seasoning is available at Kroger, Bi-Lo, Food Line, Reeds, and Harvest. Look for it on display in the meat department. Also visit seasoningdelight.com for information and recipes. Dawn Seasoning Delight. It's so good.
Does your child or grandchild need help in reading or math, or can benefit from preparatory coursework for the HSAP, ACT, or SAT? If so, contact the Barner Group Educational Associates. Our staff specializes in formatting an individualized approach to assisting your child academically. We offer low-cost tutorial services and educational programs. Participants may qualify for free services. To learn more, call for Alicia Cuthbertson of the Barner Group Educational Associates, 1-888-TBG-3996.
If you are interested in becoming an individual or corporate sponsor of Education Matters or to receive sponsorship information, call Donna Moore Wesby at 803-507-6793 or send an email to dwesby@edmath.com.
Welcome back. Several times throughout the year, we were blessed to go on location. We visited Aiken High School. We have visited Midland Valley High School. We've just had a ball trying to give you something new and different, but also set the right tone and environment for that particular topic. This next broadcast was, I would say, probably one of my favorites. We held a forum at Midland Valley High School entitled, What Every Student Athlete Needs to Know. a lot of eyes were opened. I received emails and phone calls and even requests to conduct the forum again in the year 2012. Please watch this particular broadcast as you hear a little bit from some very key people who enlightened us on what it means to be a student athlete and then to play at the collegiate level.
Okay, thank you, Donna. There's basically two national athletic organizations. One is the NAIA, which is the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, and the other is the NCAA. The NCAA has three different branches, Division I, Division II, Division III. Division I is primarily your very large schools, your South Carolina, Clemson, Georgia, schools like that. Division II are smaller schools that offer scholarships, USC Aiken, Newberry College, Coker, schools like that that are in South Carolina. And then Division III are non-scholarship schools. And so the NCAA, basically depending on where you want to go to school, whether you want a school at whether you want that experience at a very large school or one at a smaller school, the NCAA has that opportunities for you. The other thing that I would mention is that depending on which NCAA type school you wanted to go to, the academic requirements are a little bit different. At USC Aiken, which is a Division II school, if you want to come to a Division II school, you've got to have 14 core curriculum classes. That's your math, your English, your sciences. You've got to have a minimum 820 on the SAT, and then you also have to have a 2.0 minimum grade point average. And so that's the requirement for Division II. In Division I, instead of 14 core curriculum classes, there are 16 that you have to have. The difference between Division I and II, in addition to the number of core curriculum classes, they actually have a sliding scale depending on what you make on the SAT or the ACT to go along with your core grade point average.
Okay, and if I remember correctly, Coach Warwick and Coach Alexander, you may chime in also, is in order for a child or student athlete to even play sports at a collegiate level, isn't there some type of registration process that they must take place or take part in?
Right, they have to register for the NCAA clearinghouse. Okay. And then also part of that process now, there's an amateurism rule that they have to satisfy.
Okay.
And basically that is something that needs to be done, in high school, because the later you wait, particularly if you're a senior and you're enrolling in school somewhere, if you haven't gone through that certification process, that's going to delay what you're able to do in terms of athletics once you get to school. So that's something that all of you want to make sure that you do as early as possible. And then part of that process is that you'll report which schools you're thinking about going to, and then once you're certified, the clearinghouse will notify those institutions that you've applied and that you meet the standards or don't meet the standards.
Well, that particular segment, as I said, drew so much attention, and we will, if all goes well, try to conduct that forum again for the year 2012. We just had a wonderful year, and I'm so thankful again for the opportunity to bring you quality programming every week. One of my personal platforms is parental involvement in our children's lives and certainly in their education. But a little bit deeper than that, we know that our country, our families are under attack. And one of the broadcasts that I really was inspired by was with Roger Rollins of the Family and Marriage Coalition. And we brought on a new couple, young couple, and we talked about saving marriages, saves our families. Take a look.
problems that occur basically because of the broken family. And it's everything from the assistance we provide to children and to the parent who's trying to raise those children by themselves, to what happens to kids when they're raised in a broken home and wind up with all kinds of need for help, whether it's going to prison or whether it's some kind of help, substance abuse, all of those things. The cost to society is just tremendous.
It is, and when we're talking about a subject like this, it really boils down to education. We have many couples watching today, individuals watching today, where you may have a situation, Mr. Roger, where one of the individuals really wants some help, wants some counseling, but the other does not. How would FAMCO recommend they handle that situation?
Well, it is a difficult situation. We admit that up front. It's not going to be easy, but hopefully there's at least one in that marriage that wants to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And if that one person will demonstrate love and concern and compassion towards the other, we find often that even though that individual may think it's all the other person's fault, they're the one that wants to get out of it, they're the ones that doesn't want to make up. Turns out there are some reasons why the other one's behaving the way they are, and it may be that we're driving them away.
Yeah.
So if we can get both of them to take a look at where they're coming from, the one individual may be so nagging the other one so much, trying to convince the other one they're all wrong, I'm going to fix you because you're the problem. You know, and so somehow,
you haven't heard that before, have you?
Only a few times. What I tell people when they come in for help is, look, we aren't about first of all, we're not about fixing your marriage.
Yes.
We're not about enabling you two to communicate with each other and learn how to work through these issues together, nor are we about fixing your mate.
Yes.
We're about dealing with the situation that you can change, which is you,
yes.
and only you. We
and
can't change anybody else.
That's right, and that is a very key factor in what you've said. But that's easier said than done, especially when you have two individuals coming together from different backgrounds, raised differently, and they've been the way that they are for 20, 30, 40 years nowadays, and now you expect me to change all of that? Well, let me help you in that change process, and then we get into big trouble.
Well, but it is the fact that even one of them is coming for help is a good sign that says, I recognize something needs to change. And that's almost the first step. If we're going to make improvement, first of all, we need to recognize something's got to change.
That's right.
You know, the old definition of insanity, we keep doing the same thing over and over and expect different results.
That's right.
Doesn't happen.
That's right.
So we have to learn that if we want something to change, and this is the answer, it's got to begin with me.
Yes.
It can't begin with my spouse, it's got to begin with me.
Amen. Magical words. If we want something to change, it doesn't begin with the other person, it begins with self. And here inside of Education Matters, we've provided lots of information, but the information is only as good as what you then do with it. Miss Cindy, our camera lady, I love you. I've really enjoyed getting to know you. Mr. James Grigsby on the board, our director, thank you for your creativity, your patience, your humility. We have a wonderful staff here on ASTV. Thank you for joining us every week. And pray for us that next year will be a great year as we bring you even more quality programming and hopefully additional sponsors. Thanks so much for being with us. Look for us in 2012. So until next year, my name is Donna Moore Westby, your host of Education Matters, where we're connecting you to the world of education one step at a time. Have a great day. My name is Donna Moore Westby, your host of Education Matters, where we're connecting you to the world of education one step at a time. Bye-bye. My name is Donna Moore Westby, your host of Education Matters, where we're connecting you to the world of education one step at a time. Have a great day. My name is Donna Moore Westby, your host of Education Matters, where we're connecting you to the world of education one step at a time. Happy New Year, y'all. Love you. Thank you.